5Options show, where every week Marta and Anna abandon their 5 children, 2 partners and 1 cat to make a show especially for you. An artist, a challenge, a bullshit, a wisdom and a surprise. Tune in and feel the magic of 5.
I ended up at this university, which the career-wise, marketing and management, I don't think it's a very good fit for me. That there was no desire to study this. There was a lot of miserable feelings around being there. And what came out of there was my exchange program to come to Denmark, where I actually met my husband. So
True story.
that's why I reflect back on it and I think, which decision was wrong? The decision of wanting to get to international relations, because that's what I had. That's what I had my passion for. Was the decision wrong to end up going to that university and never pursuing that previous dream? And kind of like when I reflect back on it, it's almost like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's almost like, okay, I wanted to go to international relationships. I ended up studying marketing and management. Then I went to Denmark and I studied engineering.
Production engineering.
Then came back to Poland, completely random. Started studying at Warsaw School of Economics, because that was the only school that accepted me with my Danish diploma. And what I really want to be doing in my life is helping people.
Yeah.
So what I really then needed to figure out after years was finding coaching, finding neuro-linguistic programming, finding conscious healing, considering whether I should go to psychology and so on. And ultimately, what's wrong decision in all that?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. There is no wrong decision, because if you would get into that university, maybe today you would be an ambassador somewhere in one of our embassies, because international relationships, those are studies when you get into government and you work with international relations. And maybe you would have a completely different life and career, but we don't know that, and you are very happy with what you have right now. So
maybe I would become a Polish consul in the Dominican Republic,
and you
I
would meet your husband anyway.
Yeah, we don't know this kind of things, so there need to be a little bit of trust that sometimes, first of all, sometimes we can't figure things out before we try them. So how can you know? Some people know it when they are 18, 19. What is their career? What is exactly that they need to study? Or when, I guess, Elena, you have a bit more years because you already have your bachelor. But at the end of the day, you need to actually try it out to know for sure if this is something for you. So that it's this perspective in which I believe that ultimately there is no wrong decision, because life happens and we learn from everything. And now that our lives are getting longer and longer, we actually tend to change our careers anyway. So we actually have time now to take a wrong decision, I'm doing the air quotes, start to study something or stay in a country we are not 100% sure, and then change our decision if it doesn't feel right.
True.
So that was that thing that I wanted to bring. Life is a changing organism. It happens all the time.
Thank you for that philosophical trip, my dancing flower.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna go for Dennis and hear Dennis out. What do you think, Dennis, about that approach? Have you taken any wrong decisions that you really regret and think like, I really should have taken another one?
No, I try not to. I mean, it's pointless to regret something that you can't change. You just get miserable, because we all do things that we wish we hadn't done. But if we dwell on them, we just get miserable, because we all fail, we all do stupid things, and you learn from them. It's just experience.
That's a very mature attitude, Dennis. Not surprising that it comes from you, because you always have intelligent and mature things to say. I like to say sometimes just to be in spite of things, because someone called me rebel without a cause, that, everything happens for a reason, but sometimes the reason is that you were stupid and you made a bad decision. So I could say that sometimes when I'm not on this more philosophical, higher level, where I actually understand that everything is a learning, it is quite easy to say, Jesus, that was a really bad decision. But I think that that is something that is synonymous with very short-term thinking and estimating your life. So if you look at something that happened a year ago and you think it's a bad decision, you actually don't know how the consequences of that thing will look like in your life in 5 years ahead. Because just coming back to your example, Marta, at the moment when you ended up at Technical University of Białystok, studying advanced mathematics and just like not understanding what the hell has happened, I'm pretty sure that you were like, what the hell, you were not happy with that, or maybe you wished you studied harder or whatsoever. But in the end of the day, years passed and you don't see anything bad in that.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing it up. It's very, very important to mention this part, that this ultimately there is no wrong decision. It is going high up. Mm-hmm. It is going on this, lifelong level, meaning, like looking at your life from a higher perspective. Mm-hmm. And just to kids, don't worry. Listeners, don't worry. We will go down. We will go down to business as well, meaning we will dig into this other perspective, because it's all about taking that decision from different perspective. Mm-hmm. So it is to take in that perspective, looking at this high up, but it's also about looking closely to it. So I propose that since we are doing so well and it's half of the program and we have done one option, I think the time has come to listen to a song.
Yes, today we have a little musical break for you guys. It is not as you are used to have Artist of the Week at the beginning and there is no interview. There is a really beautiful piece by Louise Dahl. The song is called The Fundament. I think in Danish it's, Danish, how it would be?
Fundament.
Very close. So it's a beautiful song that Louisa has recorded at Dave's Supermoon music studio back in a day, and I believe it is some sort of a tribute to her family member. I was supposed to get a short bio for this, but unfortunately I didn't got it in time, but it will be included in the show notes for that episode. So now we will hear Artist of the Week and the song from Louisa.
Supermoon Music brings to you Artist of the Week.
Til at komme videre på din vej. Der var ikke de ord, der ikke sad fast inde i dig. Det er satans liv, når det slutter, du skal afsted. Så står vi tilbage med foldede hænder og takker for denne gang. Og jeg undrer mig, hvordan skoven, der før var så grøn, har mistet sin farve, sin duft og den drøm. Drøm, som vi drømte, da vi to var små, og vi red på vilde heste. Intet kunne os nå, ja, den årstid, den glemmer jeg aldrig. Det var der, hvor vi fandt vores mod. Men når det nu er valgt, at dine dage er talt, tager du mig sammen med, for du er mit fundament. Tankerne flyver kigger på himlen så blå. Jeg var fyldt op med ord, og det er løgn, hvis du tror, at jeg fik sagt rigtigt farvel. Og jeg undrer mig, hvordan tiden tog lidt så, for du var så tæt på mig, tættere end du tror. Så en brik af mit indre, en del af den tid, hvor vi lærte, hvem vi var, og vi lærte side om side. Ja, den årstid, den glemmer jeg aldrig. Det var der, hvor vi fandt vores mod. Men når det nu er valgt, og dine dage er talt, tager du mig som med, for du er mit fundament. Sådan er det, ja. Sådan er det. Sådan er det. Bygger en bro, hvor vi begge to kan mødes på midten i al slags vejr. Det er der, hvor alle tanker får lov at blive til ord, hvor intet hjerte banker, men sjælen den bor. Sådan er det. Sådan er det. Sådan er det. Ja, ja. Sådan er det. Ja. Sådan er det. Sådan er det. Ja, ja.
Okay, so the song was very nice and it was a good breather. And we, of course, continued all the time talking about right and wrong decisions, good and bad decisions.
Yeah,
So-
and just thank you, Luisa, for allowing us to play this song. It's a very beautiful acoustic version with a cello in the background. And for everyone who wants to re-listen the song, we will also post the song in the show notes on our website, the5options.com.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize, Luisa, that I just jump right back into the challenge.
But there is a very good reason for that, because indeed, Marta, we had a very interesting discussion while listening to your song, Luisa, although that was not maybe caused by your song. You were just a beautiful musical background, but we had a very interesting points that we have just exchanged.
Yeah. And ultimately, we could continue talking about it forever. We could have entire series on that. So just summing up, it is about taking a very high, view on life right now. So that's just this one thing. Let's us dig into the other things so that we have the time for the remaining 4 options.
Yes, because we
So-
have 4 and maybe even 6. Who knows?
Yeah. So the next thing is, chances are that you already know the answer. Now your task is to allow for it to come. And again, I just want to mention that when we are talking about this challenge, we are talking about a situation where a young person is trying to find the right solution for them when it comes to, should I stay or should I go in a country? Should I try to go into that master degree here in Denmark, even though I'm missing some points? Or should I maybe come back to Romania and study there? Or maybe I should get a job. So when we are talking about these things, whether it's the right, wrong decision and anything, it's in relation to that. It's not about everything in life. It's about this kind of situation that we are referring to.
Yeah.
So I really believe that we have that inner wisdom inside of us that already knows what's the best thing for us to do at this moment. Some of us are not doing it, but many of us are getting too much noise in our heads, so we are not allowing for that inner wisdom to speak to us. I was there very deeply myself, where I have neglected my intuition for a very long time. And I and it just what it cost for me was that the decision taking process has been very difficult because I was trying to figure it out. I was obsessing about it. I was discussing it. I was going through that inner dialogue with my friends, with my husband, and so on. Whereas what I believe now, the most important thing is to become quiet and allow for the answer to come. And what is so beautiful about it is that it is so true. If you allow yourself, this is so simple, yet so difficult for so many people to achieve. If you allow yourself to be still, to be quiet and listen to yourself, you get that answer that feels right for you, because that's what we are looking for. We don't know when we are taking a decision, whether that's a bad decision or good decision, whether it's a right decision or wrong decision, but we can do it with a feeling we are doing the right thing. Because my problem was that I was mentalizing the process. I was figuring out, doing pros and cons and weighing the decisions and going for something that doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. That's a problem, I believe.
Yeah, I read that challenge, and it's very much practical pointers in this challenge. Should I stay here, find a job, find master? There are definitely other things, like, do you like to be in Denmark? Do you miss your home country? Where your heart wants to be, So it's a very good point, Marta.
Yeah, and also knowing that if you take that decision and it stops feeling right in the future, you can change that decision. Mm-hmm. No one is going to tie you to the university here in Denmark or to the university back in Romania and tell you you have to stay and finalize that master. You can always change your mind if that stops feeling right to you. But now this point is that you can try this. And we have talked about it many times before on the show. Meditation is always one of the things that is given, not available for everyone at a given particular moment. For example, for me, meditation was not available for many months. It was many months of practice before I could actually get still within meditation. But where I could get still was actually when walking. When going to nature, going alone for a longer walk. There is something in nature that helps to calm our system down and calm all the stress, all the noise, all the thinking, and allow us to hear ourselves. So it's not always still available for me to meditate when I am very high up in my head. But it does work. Something really happens when I'm close to nature, when I go to the forest, when I go to the beach and so on, especially when I put my bare feet on the ground. Not very easy to do it now in Denmark in January. It's slightly cold. Mm-hmm. But that's something that works for me, for example. Another thing that works for me is free flow writing, when I just allow myself to write about it and then I find the answer. And the best time to do it is in the morning before your mental process starts being very high. Because what's the deal with the mental process? The deal is the fears, the irrational fears that are starting to come, the self-doubt, they are starting to scream in your head and not allowing you to take the decision that feels right for you, but maybe, are pointing more into stay safe, stay where you are, and so on. And another way of feeling into something, Anna, you have been taking it out, so maybe if someone is watching that video, you could see Anna has
completely
has pulled out oracle cards.
It's actually not an oracle card. It's a called magic spells, because I'm an amateur witch. So yeah, but I was listening to what you were saying, Marta, and I was just like, okay, I have these cards with me, so let's see what card comes out for Elena, and if we will have time, only if we will have time, we can just see the sixth option.
Yeah, okay. But that's one of the way of feeling into decision, because oracle card is something that you draw, you get some sort of answer. It could be a goddess, it could be an animal spirit, it could be something, and then your own inner wisdom helps you interpret that card.
Exactly.
So that's a way. It's not like some sort of a weird prediction kind of thing. that we are talking about is actually still reading something that inspires your inner wisdom to find the right answer for yourself.
Yeah,
So-
because with oracle cards and tarot cards, it's always in the end of the day your own interpretation. Everyone can take the same card and have a different interpretation. It's supposed to help you to open up to that inner wisdom that you have inside of you.
Yeah. And because the conversations here are very interesting and we are not having that much time, I will jump into the next option, which I already touched upon, and that's about mentalizing the whole process. So that's on decision making based on your mental level, or thinking, analyzing. So what I have mentioned here already in the introduction is that the analytical mind uses only 5%. And it also is using the information based on your experiences so far, meaning that if you have a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear, a lot of self-doubt, your mind will be trying to keep you safe and making sure that you stay in that comfort zone so that you accidentally don't get hurt. And that is a challenge if you are a person that actually would like to grow and step out of that comfort zone. So pros and cons are one of the ways where you can use your analytical brain to help your mental process of taking the decision. I don't do that much yet. I don't do that much anymore. I used to do a lot of pros and cons. Now I might sometimes do them, and they are just a way to put something on piece of paper and feel into it anyway. So you can definitely do it. What I do now when it comes to this kind of big life decisions is I do what I called worst case scenario and best case scenario. We have discussed it many times on our show. So it is about creating all the possible scenarios for your decisions. And what's the worst thing that can happen? How are you going to deal with that worst thing that happens? And then creating best case scenario, meaning what's the best thing that can happen if I choose that decision, and how will that make me feel? We will have a description of that exercise for you, Elena. It's a very nice way of managing your fear and self-doubt in this decision-making process. So I just need to allow at least a little bit of time for a comment from you guys.
Dennis, my dear, dear Dennis, are you doing pros and cons when you are making decisions?
Not in the sense of listing them, but I think I do. I think everybody does that. This might happen if I do this, and this might happen if I don't. So yeah, I think everybody does, more or less consciously.
I have to say that I grow out of it. Not that it's something that is immature or childish, but I don't do it anymore. I do, however, look at the best and worst case scenario. I think actually the worst case scenario is quite a powerful exercise. I believe I was quite skeptical towards it at the very beginning when we were starting. You've got 5 options because you proposed this as one of the options for the second challenge we were solving about long distance relationship, I think. And I was like, yeah, but aren't you just scaring yourself, like too much by imagining the worst things that can happen? But the thing is that if you put a finger on those worst thoughts that you have on your head, and better yet, write them down, they are not so scary anymore. What I've noticed is that what scares us the most is the accumulation of those thoughts when they are just like jumping like a popcorn in a popcorn tube, popcorn maker, and then you are trying to grasp it, and they seem to be so many of them, and once you actually write them down, they are not so scary anymore.
Yeah, I remember I tricked Anna actually into worst case scenario in her kitchen.
She did.
Actually, now that you mention it, it is the way that I do it. It's something that I say quite often in Danish. Hvad er det værste, der kan ske? What's the worst thing that can happen? Usually I just say it as a joke, but I do that mentally every time I have to make a decision. So what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, nothing really. So why be afraid of that decision?
Look how wise our Dennis is, just a walking.
That beard is not here for some reason,
It's
right?
the beard
It's
talking,
the
yes.
beard talk.
Yeah.
It's the Gandalf talk. So yeah.
Here again, our proof of that wisdom comes from experience, not only from learning stuff.
Yes, and
at
from beards,
a formal, and
which
from
I
beards,
don't
yeah.
recommend to us, Marta.
Okay, now we will go into the fourth thing, which we already discussed a lot when we took the second option, which was second option was about chances are you already know the answer. You need to allow for it to come, and the fourth one is about feeling into it. And I just wanted to say about 2 additional methods of feeling into what's the right decision for us. And the premise here is wise people say that our bodies cannot lie to us, that our minds can lie to us based on our experiences from the past and wanting to keep us safe, but our bodies don't lie to us, and our intuition is speaking to us through our bodies. So there are 2 ways that you can do it. One is feeling it in your chest as expanding or contracting. And the second way is muscle testing. So these are 2 ways of like really feeling into any decision, even like whether putting sugar in my coffee is a good decision for me or not. It is amazing. I have been using the expanding versus contracting when taking a decision. It's simple. You ask yourself, for example, is staying in Denmark a good thing for me? And then you watch your reaction in your heart. Is it a contraction or expansion? And it's a similar way for muscle testing. When you calibrate yourself by asking, is my name Marta? And you see how your muscles react to that statement. And I can't show it. It can be done with 2 fingers. It can be done with the entire arm.
Well,
I
you can
can't
show it on
really,
TV.
Show it in the radio. I can show it on TV. But what I want to say is that in the show notes, there are 2 articles about it. There is one about contracting vs expanding, so accessing your wisdom through that. And the other thing is for muscle testing, how to do it. And for example, my husband has been doing muscle testing forever. And he has been showing me how to do that. I used to be skeptical. Now I really like it. Some things, they just grow on us with time. So because we have very few time, we'll jump into the last option, which is listen to wise people, yet listen to yourself more. So if after all of that we have brought you, Elena, you are still like, I just don't know what to do, talking to some wise people is a good idea. There are a few pointers on how to choose a good person to talk to. Number 1,
Your
that
local
person,
radio show can be one of those options.
that person, I mean, talking, like really having a
conversation,
conversation. That person really knows how to listen. It's really the best thing that someone can do for you is to hold that space for you while you're talking, because here again you can hear yourself providing yourself that answer, and that answer will be better than any other answer that person can give you, because it's about your life, it's about choosing where you live and what kind of education you're gonna take versus getting a job. So the best person will be the one that will just hold that space for you and listen to you. Another good quality of a wise person to talk to is they will be good at reflecting back at you what you have told them. So they will be good at summarizing what they have heard from you. They will be good at rephrasing the things that you have told them so that, again, you can find the answer. Another thing is that they will be good at inspiring you to take the right answer. Maybe they have great stories to share with you that can inspire you. Maybe they have some tools that you can use in order to find your answers. And they are neutral. They don't have any personal interest in you taking any particular decision. So often your friends or your family have a struggle in being neutral because they might have a personal interest in you, for example, staying here or you coming back to your home country. Even if they are trying to stay neutral, it's very difficult. And now for the rest of the time, which is very few, I would just like to hear if you, Anna, have any comments to these, final options.
Me, the comments. Denise, how much time do we have for the comments?